Cool. I think we are live. Sorry for the slight delay today because there's always got to be technical issues, right? Anyways, so hopefully everything looks good and you guys are able to hear and see me okay. I'm trying to follow along on my other computer, but I'm not that tech savvy. So my apologies if anything isn't streaming properly. No matter what, it will be up for you guys to watch. I know that these noontime ones are a little tricky, so I always make sure that I leave them up and available for you on the group. Okay, so with that said, I know that we have only so much time today together, so let's jump into it and start talking about flirting. For those of you who don't know, I do this once a month, the first Wednesday of every month in this group. I want to be able to constantly bring you topics that are important to you for dating. So please let me know if there's any topic that you would like me to cover, and I definitely will do my best to talk about that in a later mastermind. Okay. What we're going to cover today, we're going to cover the why, what, and how of flirting. So why it's important to know your flirting style, what the 5 styles are, and how to flirt and read when someone is flirting with you. A lot of times when we talk about flirting, pickup artists teach manipulative tactics and strategies. I want you to understand that there's different styles and how to lean into your style and how to understand the other styles, because I want you to be able to flirt with purpose and with respect. Not to mention that this is going to be ridiculously helpful for those of you who are still on dating apps to understand why people are communicating the way they are in a dating app. This works obviously for in-person as well, but this is going to be, I think, ridiculously helpful for dating apps. For those of you who have not met me yet, hi, I'm Andrea LaRosa. I am the founder and lead matchmaker at Date Smarter. I got into this field kind of by happenstance. I was a filmmaker for years and was moving back to the States from working in England for a while. Didn't know what to do with myself, thought I should go back to LA, didn't want to do that. And so I went to a speed dating event and thought, oh my God, this is the coolest freaking thing ever. I want to try hosting one because how hard could that be? So I started a small little company hosting local speed dating events, singles events, realized that, oh my gosh, there's definitely a need for coaching. People need to understand how to maneuver through these events. People were so nervous. So obviously I got certified in everything coaching. And then during the pandemic, I realized, oh my gosh, screw coaching. I mean, I still coach, but there's a serious need for matchmaking. So then I got certified in matchmaking as well. And here we are. I am this matchmaker, dating coach expert here to help you through your dating experience. I'm also the author of Get the Girl, Dating the High Value Woman. It was a book that I was really passionate about writing, not just for men to help men understand how to attract the woman that they want, but also for women to be the woman that attracts a high value man. If you haven't heard of Date Smarter, which you might not have, I might have kind of pushed you into this group because of who I am. So if you don't know my business, we do matchmaking and coaching services, all coaching services from breakups to relationships and everything in between. I offer online courses that are a little bit more self-paced for those who don't want the one-to-one coaching or are not ready for matchmaking. Matchmaking is often a very elite service and very involved. So if you're not ready there, we have some lower level programs for you to get into. And if you are in the Central California area, then you might have seen I've been hosting local in-person events. I've pushed a little away from the speed dating, but we've been doing a lot more single mingle type things, and we have some coming up, so you can see that on the website. And don't take my word for it, but trust my clients. And I absolutely love this testimonial because I literally just saw this guy like 2 weeks ago. I was crossing the street downtown and he rolled down his window and screamed out my name and just shouted out this fantastic quote, which he allowed me to share with you today. He just yells out to me, "I've been in the healthiest relationship of my life for the past 1.5 years, thanks to you." And it was just like the coolest moment ever. I've never had something like that happen, so I kind of wanted to share it with you guys. And of course, those who have come into the matchmaking program with a lot of hesitancy, I understand it's very scary. Most people don't understand what matchmaking is, so that's why I always get on a call with people to help them understand what matchmaking actually is. And V had a really hard time with dating on the sites, and she was just not having any luck. And like most clients, she was very hesitant and very nervous. I do blind dates in my matchmaking service, which is unusual to a lot of other matchmakers, but I think it really allows people to lean into the experience. And obviously I vet everybody before I send you on a date. It is a very thorough process. Unlike maybe other companies, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. I make sure that when you come into the matchmaking program, that for one, I'm a good fit for you, because I don't want to take you on as a client if I'm not a good fit. So that's first and foremost. And that's what we did with V. And we made sure that I was a good fit for her, and I was. And then I made sure to set her up on dates that were a good fit for her, not just a warm body. And now she is having like the healthiest relationship. We also did some mock dates for her, which is something that we do occasionally for clients who are really uncomfortable with dating. We might set them up on some mock dates, which can be really fun. But enough about me. You're not here to listen about me anymore. You want to know why it's important to understand your flirting style. So let's dive into today's mastermind. As I mentioned earlier, pickup artists have been selling dating tactics for years. And that's what a lot of people have been going off of. Sure, their tactics will get you laid. Let's be honest, they're for hookups. But their success rate for long-term relationships is really low and consistently decreasing. By knowing and understanding your flirting style, you're going to be able to lean into what is comfortable for you and lean out of what pickup artists have been telling you to do. So no more put your hand on the small of her back and push her through the door. Don't do that. Lead her through the door crap, because that does not work for everyone. And it's not attractive to everyone either. So I really, really, really want you to learn how to not force yourself to flirt in this particular way anymore. I want you to be more successful with your dating because you understand your flirting style, but you also understand other flirting styles, because let's remember, it's not just about you. It's about you and the partner. I want you to be more authentic and realize that we don't always flirt for romantic or sexual intentions. Sometimes it's just to be seen attractively. And we're going to talk about that later on. So this is why I think it's really important to understand flirting styles in general. Reasons why we flirt is not, like I said, always for romantic interest. So this is where it gets really complicated, and you might have been already experiencing this struggle. Men are easier to read because they're more obvious. Men tend to think that women are romantically interested when they really aren't. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And rejection has definitely made flirting less obvious. So there's a lot of struggles around flirtatiousness. Other reasons we flirt is for attention, love interest, Have you ever been to an event where you're trying to make someone jealous? Either it's an ex or someone you're interested in, and you find yourself flirting just in hopes that they see. I never said it was the most mature thing to do, but that happens. And obviously people flirt just for hookups all the time. I'm sure you've seen it. And we're going to talk about the style that falls into. What are the 5 flirting styles? There are 5. I did not come up with these. I did not make this shit up. This is a tried and true, real deal thing here. The 5 Flirting Styles is a book that I highly suggest you read if you're more interested in the one I'm going to teach you today. Jeffrey Hall wrote the book, but he also is the one who studied these in a relationship lab. There are a lot of experts out there that have relationship labs where they study people and behaviors, and it's tried and true. These are the 5 that he came up with, and you probably have seen them all over social media, maybe just on Google, whatever. But these are the 5 flirting styles that Jeffrey Hall came up with: physical, playful, sincere, traditional, polite. Don't worry, I'm going to explain all 5 of them to you. Something to be aware of is that flirting can often look like being outgoing or just being extroverted. So flirting is probably one of the hardest elements to dating to really grasp and really nail down. And I'm going to try my best to make it as comprehensible as possible for you here today. The first style, the physical flirt. The physical flirt is very charismatic. They tend to use body positioning. Obviously, it's just how it sounds. It's physical. They'll draw attention to parts of their own body, like their hair or their lip. They'll touch. They'll make actual contact. Hence the physical. But they'll also engage in prolonged eye contact, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. And they'll use uncomfortable silences to re-engage with that prolonged eye contact. Often there's this confusion between being friendly and having romantic interest and wanting a hookup with a physical flirt, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail in a minute. When women engage in physical flirting, it looks a little different from what men do usually. Men will go in for the touch, the connection, the contact. But a lot of times women will touch themselves. No, not sexually. When they play with their hair for a long time and they tip their head, or if they play with their lips, or if you're on a dinner date, for example, and she has, I only have my cup of hot water here. If she has a glass in front of her and she's running her finger around the rim, or she's running her finger along the glass, or a fork, maybe sometimes you'll see women do that. That is a physical flirtatiousness, right? A physical flirt will touch things, not necessarily always you, but they will touch things too. And women tend to engage a little bit more in touching the things that are around them or on them to flirt. The playful flirt just wants to have fun. They make their flirting extremely obvious. Not always for dating, though. This is the easiest style to recognize, but the hardest style to determine when there's a real love interest, because playful flirts like attention and they don't necessarily have romantic interests. They like the game of flirting. They really dive into it. They enjoy it. And if I had to guess, I would say that most pickup artists scored pretty high in this style. They will touch and play with their hair as well. They'll do the lean in as well, not as much as a physical flirt might do. And they will engage in a lot of teasing. They're very sexually charged, a physical flirt. A playful flirt. Not to confuse anyone. A playful flirt will engage in a lot of teasing, and they tend to be very sexually charged. Your sincere flirt. If you are a sincere flirt, you are very genuine. This is the most genuine style out of all 5. And actually, most people will score fairly high on this one, which is good because we like genuine people. Sincere flirt will ask a lot of questions. They really want to get to know you. This is a slow burn, though, so it's not super obvious. They want to have an emotional connection, and this is the most effective to have a long-term relationship because they take the time to get to know who you are. They ask questions, they engage in conversation. Not to be confused when you first meet someone and they're nervous, because remember, nerves play a huge role in dating as well. So you have to get past the nerves, and then this is kind of their style of flirting. Your traditional flirt. This is number 4. This is just how it sounds. Super obvious, right? Traditional flirts are traditional in how they court or want to be courted. They do actually tend to be a little bit introverted. So if you find that you're a traditional flirt and your tendency is to be introverted, it makes sense. They have traditional beliefs around dating and relationship. If you're on a dating app, for example, and you're female and you're trying to get this guy to ask you out and he's not asking you out and he just keeps having conversation, and you're thinking, oh God, what is going on? He's probably a traditional flirt. It's okay to give him a little nudge, but be cautious to not be overly aggressive. You can be suggestive, but not too forward. A traditional flirt can take forever sometimes to plan that first date or make that first move. And it's mostly because they fall in line with societal dating behaviors where the masculine energy is supposed to lead. So for females, you want him to ask you out. You want him to make the first move. It's all that traditional dating practices. And for men, you're falling right in line with the opposite of thinking that you make the first move and you have to plan the first date. All, again, those very, very traditional beliefs around male-female dating practices. The last one is the polite flirting style. This is the hardest style to recognize. It's a great style, don't get me wrong. It's just really, really going to be difficult for you to see. And if you are a polite flirt, it's going to take a little bit more effort for you to make your intentions very clear. You're going to stay at arm's length probably if this is your style. You're going to respect boundaries. This is the super long burn, right? So if you, again, back to the dating apps, if you're on a dating app and you're flirting away with this person and you're like, gosh, are we ever going to meet? They're just trying to be really respectful. And again, directness can have a huge play in whether or not you can move forward with the polite flirt, or if you are the polite flirt. They're always going to try and be on their best behavior, very hands off. They're not going to touch you during a date. And they might be very nervous as well. So that's why it makes it extremely difficult to read their intentions. All right, moving into the how. We're cruising really fast through this. I probably should have slowed it down a bit. My apologies. But I want to teach you, I get so excited about this stuff. I want to teach you how to lean into your flirting style and know when someone is flirting with you. First and foremost, you need to take the quiz. You need to know what your style is. If you Google flirting styles, I think there's a ton of different quizzes that will pop up. I suggest using this one here that I'm showing you. Don't worry, I will put it in the group. So then that way you guys can have access to it, it'll make it a lot easier. But the link that I'm giving you here is the link that is Jeffrey Hall's link. So I think it's going to be the most accurate because, you know, he is the one who coined these styles. But I definitely suggest take the quiz, get your results. And if you're comfortable, I suggest that you share your results in the group. Why not? Because this could be a really fun conversation and an amazing way for you to see if there's any other singles in this Facebook group who match up with you, who you share flirting styles with, or would be a good match for you. It just might be a really great way to meet someone. If nothing else, it's going to be a fun conversation, and I will answer any questions as well that you might have about your own flirting style. So I'll try and be really on top of people posting in the group if you're going to share your results. I want you to know what the results will look like if you take this one. Okay. This is how they kind of come out. And I know this can be a little confusing when you first see it. So I kind of want to go over what it looks like for you, for your flirting style. So first and foremost, we talked about physical. Physical flirting is not the same as physical in the love languages. So don't get that confused. This is physical flirting style. I've seen them confused on a lot of occasions. So I just want to be really clear. When you see physical, it's not love language. We're talking about flirting styles. Difference. The difference is a love language is how you feel loved, and your flirting style is how you show interest. So very different points in the relationship as well. Also, I want you to keep in mind that your flirting style can change after you've attracted your partner, and your flirting style can then change yet again after you've been in a long-term relationship with your partner. So it doesn't hurt to come back and kind of take the quiz again just to see if it's shifting and changing. And actually, I think that some of the questions in the quiz can be a little ambiguous, so you might want to take it a couple times anyways. Okay, so this part of it, when you look at it, I want you to take note that this is actually one of my clients. I used theirs. Don't worry, there's no names on it, but they took it most recently and sent it to me, so I got to see 90 to 100% physical flirt. Okay, that happens. But also be mindful that these are not in order of where you score. So traditional was only 10 to 20, but I can see down there polite was 30 to 40%. So make sure you're going through the whole thing and taking note of where you fall as far as your scores go in the 5 different styles. Okay. This other portion of your results is going to give you a bit more of a breakdown and understanding of where your score really lands you for each one. And this can be a little different for everyone. So make sure that you read through these. If you're looking at this and you're thinking, I don't think this is accurate, then please be mindful that maybe it's the way you answer the questions. Like I said, some of the questions can be a little ambiguous. So take the quiz again. It's no big deal, you know. Take the quiz 2 or 3 times. It's not that long. You'll see when you go to the link when I give it to you guys. It's not a very long quiz, but be mindful with how you're answering it. So, best practices. This is my favorite part. It's probably why I've been cruising so fast through this whole thing, because I love talking about all best practices for these flirting styles. So we're going to start first and foremost with all of them. These are best practices for every single one of these flirting styles. Number 1, and we're going to talk about it specifically within each of the 5 in a minute. You want to match the style of your interest. If you're a physical flirt, you're going to be a good match for another physical flirt, and so on. Choosing the place where you meet someone based on your flirting style is going to be a game changer for you. And I'm going to talk about this as well. So I'm going to repeat myself, but that's okay. I'm going to give you an example. If you are a playful flirt, a bar or a club is a great place for you to go and meet someone, but it is a shitty place for a polite flirt to go and try and meet someone, because you're going to be so flippin' uncomfortable. You're never going to flirt with anyone. It's not your style. It's not going to work for you. So be mindful that when you're trying to sit at a bar and meet someone, because that is what all these dating books tell you to do, if your flirting style is polite, it's not going to be comfortable for you. You're not going to approach anyone. And if you're a female who's traditional, you're going to sit there waiting for men to approach you, and you're not going to approach them. So that might not work for you either. So be mindful of where you are going to try to meet someone within your flirting style. And then be consistent. Okay. Consistency in your flirting style is a little different here. Consistency is eye contact, body language, smiling, and your words, the language you're using, they all align. You can't say to someone that you're interested, but your whole body says you're not. I want to run away. I'm so uncomfortable, right? Oh my God, I think you're really nice and you're really cute. Your body doesn't say the same thing. So consistency is when everything aligns, your body language with your eye contact and you're smiling and the words that are coming out of your mouth, everything aligns. That's consistency when we talk about flirting. And then speak up. Speak up and be bold. Say what your intentions are. If you are sincere, traditional, or a polite flirt, your flirting style is not obvious. You're going to have to speak up and make your intentions clear, because it's not going to be very clear to someone who is on the receiving end. For example, you could say something like, I feel embarrassed by this, but I'd like to get to know you better. It's cute, it's sweet, it's endearing. And it's you saying like, hey, look, I'm actually trying to get to know you here on a romantic level. So I know my flirting style isn't so obvious. So try to find ways for your words to speak for you too. Okay. And genuine compliments, say I'm interested. So a compliment never hurts, because it just says, hey, I'm interested. Okay. Best practices for those physical flirts. Side thought, you probably haven't taken the quiz yet. Don't leave me to go take the quiz now. Wait. Let's finish this. And then I highly, highly suggest that afterwards, when you have time, because I want you to be very, very thoughtful in your answers on that quiz. When you have time, sit down, take the quiz, and then come back, because this is going to be in the group for you to watch whenever you need to come back to it. And I might even pop it up on YouTube for people as well. And I can always link it. So take the quiz, come back and rewatch this again later on. So then that way, if you take the quiz and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a physical flirt, I need to go back and see what she says about physical flirts, because that'll be more helpful. But also be mindful of the other flirting styles. So then that way, you know what you're encountering, especially on dating apps. I think this one's going to be really good for everyone for dating apps, because so many of you guys are on dating apps, or even on here. If you're trying to flirt with somebody in this group, just saying. Okay, best practices for the physical flirt. Like I said, same, right? Your best match is with the same or a sincere flirt, because the sincere flirt likes the compliments of the physical flirt. And physical flirts really like when their efforts are returned. If they're flirting with you, they like when they're flirted with in exchange, especially the physical flirt. So mindful of that. Physical flirts don't tend to like playful flirts. And I feel like there's this misconception of a physical flirt and a playful flirt should be good, right? No, absolutely not. Mostly because playful flirts flirt just to flirt, right? For attention or for whatever reasons. And a physical flirt is still looking for a real connection. They're still looking for that real romance. They are looking for that long-term relationship. And so they get confused by the playful flirt and will often not be attracted necessarily to the playful flirt. This style, men will lean into more. They're more comfortable in this style. So you're going to see a lot more of the men who take this quiz are going to be probably physical flirts, more so than women. It takes a lot of very confident women will fall into the physical flirt style. But statistically speaking, men tend to lean into this style a little bit more. But they're also very much attracted to this style. And again, don't confuse this with love languages. This is not a love language. This is your flirting style. So again, eye contact. This is a big one for eye contact. Obviously, we've talked about it before, how eye contact is so important for flirting in general. We talked about it last month when I was giving you the whole grocery store flirt. And if you missed it, I definitely suggest go check it out, because I think the grocery store flirt is just a fun way to like test your skills. This is prolonged eye contact. This is not just glancing, right? This is a very specific style of eye contact. It's prolonged, usually paired with a smile, okay? The difference in men and women in this particular style is that men will reach out. So they will connect with you physically. They'll touch you more, right? Women in this style will more often touch themselves. I know we just talked about it. Like I said before, they'll touch their hair, they'll touch the glass. And so that's really important to be aware of as well. If you are on a date with a physical flirt, a female physical flirt, and there's no way for you to know this, you can't like, before you meet up, be like, hey, what's your flirting style? But hopefully you might be able to recognize it. If you are a man on a date with a woman and you're on a dinner date, which I never suggest for a first date, but you guys all do it. So anyways, and she's playing with her glass and she's playing with the silverware. And she's doing it in a flirtatious way, not in a nervous way. So be mindful, like if she's touching everything, she could be nervous. So look at what her face is doing. Is she leaning in? Is she, playing with her hair and smiling and doing the head and like tip, right? That's flirtatiousness. If she's just playing with her hair and like doing one of these while she's talking, that is not flirting at all. And we'll talk about that more in body language, because hair is a huge one for body language. Caution for you guys who are physical flirts, you come on too strong for a polite flirt. So this is why I'm saying it's really good if you can start to recognize your date and what their style might be. You're not an expert. You're not going to be able to pinpoint it 100% unless, like, if you're local, call me and I'll go sit in a corner or something, because that would be super cool. And then I can just watch. When you go to the bathroom, I'll tell you what to do. Anyways, guys who are physical flirts, who try to flirt with people who are polite flirts, this is going to be the most off-putting. It's not going to work. It's going to be too aggressive, too much. And when you go to touch them, they are going to feel violated. So keep that in mind. If you are on a date, I'm going to say it again, with someone who, or maybe you're not on a date, maybe you're sitting at a bar and you're trying to get to know them and they keep touching you and you're moving away from them, you're probably a polite flirt. You don't like to be touched like that when someone's trying to flirt with you. So moving on. I get a little caught up in the physical flirt because so many people use it to flirt and it's not their natural flirting style. Okay, playful flirts. Again, match with the same with same. And when I say match, I just mean it's a good connection. Unfortunately, playful flirts, this is not the best style to be in. If you end up realizing, oh my goodness, I'm a playful flirt, and you are looking for a long-term relationship, this is a good opportunity for you to bring a lot of awareness into your flirting style. A lot of times playful flirts just flirt for the attention. It's very appealing to men more so than women, but it's also more women that tend to fall into this style as well. And like I said earlier, this is where you're going to want to meet people in clubs or bars. Same thing with the physical flirt, because the physical flirt is going to be extremely outgoing and extroverted. So is the playful flirt. These two are very, very outgoing personalities. They're going to be okay with coming up to a stranger and starting up a conversation and engage in flirting. And if I haven't mentioned it before, if you're meeting someone face to face for the very first time and you're going to engage in flirting in hopes to gain their attention or their interest, you got about 10 minutes to do it. And like the last part of those 10 minutes is probably the most important. So if you're at a networking or a social event or a singles event, you got about 10 minutes to get your flirt on and make it really clear. But like I said, physical flirts, playful flirts, you guys tend to do really well in situations where you're at a club or a bar, or like I said, you know how to approach people. So singles events are really great for you too. It doesn't mean if you're not one of these two, don't go to singles events, not at all. It just means that if someone approaches you, it's more than likely that they're going to be playful or physical. And remember, you're falling in a spectrum here. So you're not just one of the five, you're some kind of combination. And for some of you, you're going to get your results back and be like, oh my goodness, I am like 50-50 split between sincere and physical. Like, what do I do now? Well, you lean into both. Like I said, it's a spectrum. So yes, the common misconceptions is that a playful flirt and a physical flirt are a good match, but they're actually not, as I mentioned earlier. They're very extroverted, and this is typical pickup artist tactics fall into this flirting style. Playful flirts really like the hookups, but not necessarily the long-term relationships. These are generalizations. Maybe you're a playful flirt and you want a long-term relationship, but then think about how often you're out there flirting with people who you don't want a long-term relationship with. And you're probably super skilled in how to flirt playfully for hookups. Side thought as well, with the playful flirt, tends more often than not tends to be the avoidant attachment style. Food for thought there. And we'll talk about attachment styles in a later mastermind. Maybe we'll do it in May or something like that. But just a little sidebar there. If you are a sincere flirt, again, you match really well with other sincere flirts, but also the physical flirt, which we kind of talked about in physical. You like the compliments, and so therefore you match really well with the more outgoing personality. A sincere flirt can be introverted or extroverted. If you're an introverted, sincere flirt, you're going to really like the extroverted personality of that physical flirt. Your flirting style is not obvious because you're in the slow burn, right? You just want to really have an emotional connection and really get to know someone on a deeper level. So don't be afraid to say, I like you. 3 little words, not love, don't go crazy, just simply, I like you. I have a really great blog actually on my site that talks about ways to say this, but to sum it up super quick for you, you can also say something like, I like spending time with you. I like getting to know you. I'm really enjoying getting to know you. I'm having a really fun time chatting with you. There's just so many different ways to say this. So don't be afraid to use one of them. Write them down, use them later, rewind later. I don't know. Sincere flirts, you like to flirt in the dating app, because if you match with someone on an app and they're asking you all of these questions to get to know you, like, tell me about this or tell me about that, and having a like really long conversation. I kind of giggle because it just occurred to me one of my friends is a sincere flirt. Because she will engage in these ridiculously long conversations in the app, and then she'll show them to me and I'm like, geez, like what, why don't you just meet? But they're probably both a sincere flirt and this works for them. So be mindful when you're in an app and somebody's trying to have this like really in-depth conversation, they're probably a sincere flirt. They're just genuinely trying to get to know you before meeting. But on the flip side, I do still highly suggest you get off the app because there's no tone there and meet in person, go on a first date. This is where the sincere flirt is going to shine the brightest, because they are going to be very engaged in conversation with you because they genuinely want an emotional connection with you. And they're going to ask questions and they're going to listen to you when you talk, which, God, women love that, which is why this style is a very attractive for women. Women really will lean into somebody who's flirting with them in this style. Moving on to the traditional flirt. Like I said before, has very traditional points of view on how men and women should date. Masculine energy leads for this flirting style. So you're going to probably want to match with the same or even a polite flirt because you share a lot of similar viewpoints on dating. They have a more conservative approach to dating. This will usually appeal to more women than men. And be mindful that the traditional man likes to be praised, but not aggressively, and can often be turned off by women who are too forward. So a traditional man with a physical flirt woman, it might be too much for him. He might be really turned off by her forwardness, her assertiveness, and it may come across as very aggressive. So traditional flirts pair up really nicely with other traditional flirts. Perfect, really, if you think about it. A traditional male flirt, traditional female flirt, she's expecting him to do all the traditional steps and he's expecting to do them. It's a great match. Remember, we're just talking about flirting. This is not dating styles. This is not relationship styles. This is just how you flirt. So these are a really good match. The polite flirt and the traditional flirt are a really good flirting match because you see eye to eye on a lot of things. You are both very traditional and conservative, not politically, conservative in your dating techniques and the way that you approach someone that you're interested in. Polite flirts might find the sincere flirt to be too prying or too revealing, and will get very turned off by all of the questions and all of the interest, and might even be suspicious of why so interested. Well, the sincere flirt is interested because they want to establish an emotional connection, and that's how they do it. Where a polite flirt will be very put off by this type of behavior. A traditional or polite flirt might meet someone at church or book club. I'm going to say this a million times. Men, if you want to meet women, especially if you're a traditional or polite flirt, join a book club. Yeah, they might not be reading a book that you are really interested in. It's not the point, though, is it? Women love book clubs. Join a book club. So what if you end up reading a book that you're like, oh, this is a romantic novel? Good God. Who cares? It's not the point. Look at the people that you're meeting. So I really highly suggest it. Guys, join those book clubs. And like I said, church is a really great place for a polite flirt to meet someone, including a traditional flirt too. Because remember, the polite flirt will always try to be on their best behavior. They're going to be very particular about their manners. And this is the super slow burn because they're going to take a while to get to know you. You might feel very friend-zoned with a polite flirt, which again is a good opportunity to be really honest with your intentions. The polite flirt tends to appeal to other polite flirts, like I said, traditional flirts, and to women, because this is a really nice way to just get to know them. Okay, and then what always works? These are, no matter what your flirting style is, if now you're thinking, gee, Andrea, I'm more confused than I was before. Here's 4 options for you that will work for every single style and will always just work for flirting techniques in general. Okay, so if leaning into your flirting style is intimidating, then remember these 4. No matter what happens, eye contact, and this isn't a glance, this is actual eye contact, is a great way to flirt. If you're nervous, just making simple eye contact works. If you're a physical or playful flirt, prolonged eye contact's even better. But no matter what, eye contact is just a great way to show interest. Attention, giving attention, your undivided attention. That means not being distracted by the phone and like, oh, wait, you know, or what's happening all around me. Okay. So giving undivided attention to someone is a great way to show interest. Body language, which we are really going to dive into in April. I'm really excited about it. I love talking about body language. Your body language, you need to be aware what this is doing. It speaks its own language besides what's coming out of your mouth. So be mindful of what your body language is saying. Yes, body language is complicated, but it's really easy to read uninterested body language. So if you can't read body language, don't worry, you don't need to, but you should really understand what uninterested body language looks like. You know, turning your back or folding or, you know, moving away. You should, at this point, hopefully understand what uninterested body language looks like. So, and if you're interested in what interested body language looks like, we're going to talk about that next month when we do the April Mastermind. And then last, intentional smiling. Smile. When you smile, you appear friendly and warm and welcoming. Very inviting to smile. So just reminder, these are 4 really great flirting tactics for any style, no matter what you're doing. And when all else fails, you know I had to say this, hire a matchmaker. Remember though, you can't get results if you don't try. That means putting yourself out there and being open to being rejected. And rejection means results. I'm going to open it up for Q&A real quick. We only have about 10 minutes, and I can't seem to see the questions that are popped up into the Facebook. So I apologize. I will try to go back in later and answer those questions. I can only see the ones that are coming through from the people, from the VIPs in my Zoom right now. So I will go ahead and answer the VIP questions in the Zoom, which I did see a couple pop through. So let me just find them and get those answered for you guys. Let's see, what's the difference between matching and appealing to? Oh, that's a good question. That probably was a little confusing. So let me just pop back to maybe like, I don't know, this one here. So the question is about matches with same or polite flirts versus appeals to more women than men. I think some of these where I might have written it in might be, oh, here we go. This is probably a confusing one. Match with the same or traditional. Oh no, it's pretty much the same. So when you appeal to someone, it's the attraction. A male traditional flirt is going to be more attractive to a female versus matching, meaning you're a good romantic fit for dating behaviors. So same style flirting works great to match up because you understand each other's flirting styles. It doesn't mean, though, you won't appeal to another style, like we talked about with the physical flirt. The physical flirt is very appealing to a sincere flirt. He or she might be attracted to your style of flirting. So hopefully that kind of answered it and cleared that up. Let's see, what else? Any other questions? Oh, wait, what? How can I tell the difference between friendly touching and flirty touching? Oh yeah, awesome question, by the way. Thanks for asking that. Very important one to talk about. Friendly touching, if you are in a group setting and you're having conversation and someone laughs and they touch you and you're like, oh, they're flirting with me. Lock that down. That's not what that meant. Light, quick touching is friendly touching. People tend to talk with their, if you hadn't noticed, I talk with my hands all the time. I also touch a lot when I'm networking to connect, to make sure that we have that connection, to make sure that I understand what you said or you understand what I'm saying. But it's quick. It's very light. It's a light touch and it's very fast. And then I release. That's just friendly. I'm not flirting with you. If I'm flirting with you, the touch is prolonged. It is, you can feel it, right? It has intentionality to it. And the same actually goes for eye contact. There's intentionality and prolonged when you're giving eye contact. So obviously we like to give eye contact when we're talking to people. It doesn't mean we're flirting with everyone. Same thing goes for touch. Okay. So friendly touch is light and brief, and flirty touch is prolonged and intentional. So hopefully that answered your questions. We are really kind of out of time. I only have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure I get this popped up into the singles group for everyone. And I am really excited about next month. So body language. April is all about body language. It's going to be a fun one. And now after this, I'm thinking maybe May should be about attachment styles, although I feel like a lot of people know about them. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I want to make sure questions are always answered. And I love presenting these topics to you guys. It's a lot of fun for me. And I want to make sure that, you guys in the singles group are feeling supported. And if you ever want to participate in the VIP on the Zoom, let me know. But again, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for watching me. And I will try and slow it down. I just get overly excited about some of these topics. I know that was a comment of slow down, you talk too fast. So my apologies. I'm trying to squeeze a lot of information into 1 hour. So feel free to go back and rewatch. Don't forget, I'm going to drop the link, take the quiz, and let me know what your results are. Thank you so much for being here with me. Love you.